We have an NHL trade to discuss today between the Winnipeg Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers have acquired the rights to pending unrestricted free agent forward Kevin Hayes. We'll discuss what this deal means coming up next. Welcome back to Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So we actually have an NHL trade, something unexpected this time of year, I know, and you're probably asking yourself, why would they trade for a pending unrestricted free agent? Well, all the Flyers have done so far is acquired the rights to negotiate with pending UFA Kevin Hayes. They have sent a 2019 fifth-round selection for those rights over to the Winnipeg Jets. Now, of course, as you know, the Winnipeg Jets paid a much steeper price to acquire Hayes from the New York Rangers at the NHL Trade Deadline. Unfortunately for the Jets, things did not really work out the greatest with Hayes. Obviously, the team didn't really have the greatest finish to their regular season and ended up losing in round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs to the St. Louis Blues, who now find themselves in the finals here. So unlike the year before when they acquired Paul Stastny, Hayes, even though it looked good on paper, didn't quite work out the way they were hoping. Obviously, based on their cap situation, this isn't a huge surprise that they're not going to be able to sign and retain him. And to be honest, I'm not sure that they really would want to anyways. I'm not sure he's the absolute best fit for that role. So they'll certainly go shopping here throughout the summer and try to figure that out. And I really recommend to the Jets that they do. That's 2 years in a row they've acquired a number 2 center and not been able to retain them for different reasons. But still, they're starting to spend a lot of money on centers at the deadline. And so far, it hasn't really proved all that worthwhile. Obviously, teams could choose to wait until the free agent period opens and negotiate openly and not have to give up anything. But obviously, a team like the Flyers have decided they want to get ahead of this. They obviously have a lot of interest in Hayes, and they want to get the rights to negotiate a contract with him before free agency opens. Now, a couple other things to keep in mind here. Obviously, with the contract situation, you know that you can only offer an 8-year contract to a player staying with their existing club, but there is a requirement of a time frame that they have to be with that club before they're eligible to do that. So Kevin Hayes will not be eligible for an 8-year contract from the Philadelphia Flyers. It would be max of 7 years. However, I don't think that the contract's going to end up being that long. It's been reported that they're already starting the negotiation process, and they are expected to come to a deal. I would think the Flyers were pretty confident on their ability to get him signed in order to give up a pick, but at the same time, a 5th-round pick is a pretty low risk. The odds of that player ever becoming an NHL player are pretty slim anyways, so it's certainly a small price to pay, and if they get him signed, even better. It's rumored to be looking at probably a $6 million contract, probably around 5 or 6 years in length is what I'm looking at here. More than likely something similar to what we saw the Islanders sign Brock Nelson to. If you take a look at Hayes' production over the past couple years, in 17-18 with the Rangers, he put up 25 goals and 44 points. Of course, last year he split time between the Rangers and the Jets, putting up 19 goals but 55 points overall. So his goal totals were down a little bit, but his assists were up. Overall points were up. So that certainly is not all that different from a Brock Nelson. They're probably using that contract where it was just recently signed. He plays a similar type of role for the Islanders. So I would think it's going to be a similar type of contract. Now, a couple reasons why this is such a good fit. Obviously, he's got quite a familiarity with the new head coach there, Alain Vigneault, who was his coach for quite a long time with the New York Rangers. So there is that connection. The Flyers were reportedly interested in Hayes when he was coming out of U.S. college hockey as a free agent before he signed with the Rangers. So it's a player that they've kind of had their eye on for a fair bit of time. Obviously, a player that they've played against quite a bit in the Metropolitan Division. So obviously, he's quite familiar with Philadelphia. They're quite familiar with him, having played with the Rangers here for so long. Now, taking a look at the Flyers' salary cap situation here, you'll see that the Flyers have a lot of space. Now, we already completed an offseason video for the Flyers not too long ago where we took a look at this, but they have $33.4 million in space. They do have a fair bit of their own players right now, like RFAs, that need to be re-signed, but there's certainly more than enough room for them to go after a free agent or two here. And we said in that video that I expected them to be aggressive, likely made a trade or two to kind of shake things up, and likely even dip into the free agent market. And the main thing that I said they needed to acquire was a solid number 2 center, which will allow them to have more depth at the center position, even things out in their lineup. It pushes youngster Nolan Patrick likely down to the 3rd line, but that gives him a chance to get a different matchup when he's on the ice, allow him to have a little less pressure and kind of develop a little bit more before he gets elevated down the road. Kind of what they did with Sean Couturier. I mean, look at how long Couturier was pretty well a 3rd liner there for a number of years before he really exploded offensively and worked his way up to the 1st line. And I do think Patrick probably has, similar type potential, but I think overall for the team depth will be much better. Likely looking looking at a lineup now of Couturier being the top center, playing with Giroux and Konechny. They can leave Giroux on the wing, which would be good. The number 2 line can be Kevin Hayes now, being at center ice, likely playing with Voracek and JVR. They can put Patrick on the 3rd line, probably playing with another youngster, Oscar Lindblom. And maybe they put in one of their top prospects there, Morgan Frost, who's likely expected to make this team get an opportunity this year. He's certainly tapped out his time here in Juniorton and had an excellent career there, and is certainly ready for the next step, I think. Offensive abilities, I think, would mesh well with those 2 other young players, so that would certainly make a very, very interesting top 9. And then you're left with the 4th line, likely players like Raffle, Lawton, Hartman. To me, that looks like a pretty solid looking forward group, so I like where the Flyers are going with this. It's exactly what I thought they needed, and I think he'll fit in quite nicely there, but we'll see exactly what the contract details are when they're officially announced. I'm not sure if we'll get that much ahead of July 1st or not, but I wouldn't expect it to take too long, or that process has already begun, and I would think that more than likely the Jets were probably already kind of feeling things out with Hayes' agent where he might want to go in free agency, so they could exchange his rights for a pick and return. So I would think more than likely this deal gets done here in short order. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Flyers acquiring Kevin Hayes, likely signing him to a 5 or 6 year contract. Somewhere around the $6 million mark is likely how things are looking. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation on this deal. If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, subscribe for more content just like this one, and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.